Black Horse Pub. Well, good morning and welcome to the Black Horse Pub. The Black Horse Inn is its exact title. Declan was here at 7 o'clock this morning, busy getting the bar ready, and now the people from, let's see, Harvey's, is it? No, Green King, yeah. Green King have arrived, and they're unloading the beer. So if you're thirsty, head towards the Black Horse at lunchtime, 12 o'clock. Not before. We don't open up before. We're very strict about 12 o'clock. I was denied my cider at 1 minute to 12 yesterday. No, it was the day before, actually. Declan's very strict. One thing that there are two things that we've got to talk about as far as the Black Horse is concerned. Is first of all, they do a splendid lunch. There's a special steak sandwich on tap, which they call the Longhorn. And the new chef is busy making sure that that's available from 12 o'clock onwards. And on Sunday night, we have got a quiz hosted by Wevo. Okay, Wevo. See, I've got my prompter in the background when I make a mistake. I made 16 already, and I've only been on for about 2 minutes. Sunday night at 8 p.m., and it's in aid of St. Philip's and St. James Hospice. St. Peter's and St. James, is it? Right, there you go. That's another mistake, you see. I'm really full of mistakes this morning. I'll take my hat off in a minute. Right, so make sure that you come along to that. They're always good fun, and it's a worthy cause. I think that's the one. Is that the one, Declan, where I get my odd bits of furniture from? Sorry? Do I get my odd bits of furniture from St. Peter and St. James?
No, you're getting bits of furniture from Furniture Now.
Oh, right.
St. James is a hospice that care for the people that are on their way out.
Yeah, but there is one St. Peter's and St. James on the high street, is there not? A charity shop?
Yeah, there is. There's two. There's one by Waitrose and one opposite the Law Courts.
Yes, I was thinking of the one by Waitrose. Yeah. That is part of what you're raising money for? Yeah, good. Okay, I got the right one. Yeah, I know all about that. Some very nice ladies in there who make sure that...
All right, I'm going to do delivery as soon as I can.
Okay, Declan's off to look after the pub, as he should, instead of looking after the television for him. We'll see you in a while. Okay, take care. Right, okay, a bit of frippery to start the day. It's not a bad day, actually. Let me tell you about the weather. Never mind the weather, as long as we're together, it's going to hit 6 degrees today. Not very warm, with sunny intervals and light winds. But so far, according to the forecaster, not a drop of rain, which is welcome, because it's the rain that's really given us a bad time the last few days. With the cold, it's not getting too cold today. It's going to drop to 4 degrees. That's all, and I can't tell you what it is at the moment. I should be able to. No, not there. No mind. Now we've got ourselves. There we go. Right. Okay. So tomorrow is it's going to be 8 degrees, a little warmer, starting at 6. Friday, it's going to zoom back up to 11. And then for the next few days, the weekend and the start of next week, it's going to go up to 10, 11 degrees, 12 degrees on Monday. And the unfortunate thing is that with the return of the heat, we also get rain. Although I think it's sunny rain, sunny intervals, and light winds. So there you are. That's what we can expect. Now let's go to gloom and doom, and we better try the news, the front pages. But first of all, let's be a little. There we go. There. There we go. All right. Let's take a spin and go to the front pages. There we go. And the big news is that a new Rwanda treaty has been signed. The Rwanda treaty, of course, is that illegal immigrants will be not allowed to stay in this country, be given asylum in this country, but be sent on to Rwanda, where they'll be held until they can be returned to their own country. Very controversial, and indeed the first paper that we've got up is the Metro. It says new Rwanda treaty signed. It's a done deal, but will it pass the UK Supreme Court's verdict? The Supreme Court just last week ruled that the act was illegal, but it's a done deal. Headlines the Metro as Home Secretary James Cleverly is pictured shaking hands with the Rwandan Foreign Secretary. The pair signed a new asylum treaty with Rwanda, who will take illegal immigrants on behalf of the UK. The paper carries quotes from Mr. Cleverly and said he felt very strongly the treaty addresses issues raised by the Supreme Court when they ruled the previous deal unlawful last month. So there we are. Turning to the Daily Telegraph, a picture of Kate on the front, Princess Kate, on the front cover, our future queen at some stage in the future. Ministers, here are the headlines, though. Ministers threaten to quit over Rwanda flights law. Let's see. The Daily Telegraph writes that up to 10 ministers are threatening to quit if the government adopts a hardline approach on Rwanda and uses emergency legislation to get around the European Convention on Human Rights. It observes it is thought the legislation will not be published before Wednesday, and wrangling within government over how tough it should be will not be revealed until then. The Princess of Wales is shown making a joke at a diplomatic reception at Buckingham Palace. The Times, it's got a banner. KFC thwarts efforts to stop fast food outlets near schools. But in fact, its main story is Sunak's middle way on Rwanda. The Times leads with ministers privately assuring Conservative MPs that Rishi Sunak's emergency law on Rwandan flights will not breach the UK's international human rights obligations. The papers carry a photograph of the King and Queen, Camilla, and the Prince and Princess of Wales at Buckingham Palace. The paper writes, senior royals put on a show of unity. Meanwhile, it reports KFC have been challenging efforts to stop fast food outlets near schools. Quite a lot in that paper that is on the front page. The Daily Express, a new treaty solves issues raised in Supreme Court ruling, says James Cleverly. No reason to block Rwandan migrants deal is the bold headline. And the Express carries a quote from the Home Secretary who says he can see no reason to block Britain's new deal with Rwanda. There is also a picture of the royal family and with United, our royal family. Basically, the story is saying that the royals have united to fight off the nonsense occasioned by Harry and whatever her name is. Isn't it funny how quickly our minds lose? Well, at my age, lose names, but you know who I'm talking about. Let's see, how are we doing? Yeah, as you can see, a lovely pub behind me. This is where we broadcast from. We are very lucky, and Declan is here first thing in the morning to make sure that the pub is well put together. The beer is being delivered at the moment, and in fact, he's just throwing the ladder back into the truck, so the beer is in. The beer is in the cellar, in the capable hands of Declan, our chief of staff, and he is busy putting it together, getting it ready for consumption by 12 noon, which is when the doors are thrown open. So there you are. Newspaper, the Guardian. Apocalyptic conditions in Gaza are blocking aid, warns the United Nations official. The Guardian opts to go back to the Israeli conflict, and it says the Guardian carries the warning of a United Nations official describing apocalyptic conditions in Gaza, ending any possibility of meaningful humanitarian operations. Elsewhere on nuclear power, on the nuclear power site Sellafield, it says there is a worsening leak from a huge silo of radioactive waste that could pose a risk to the public. Oh my goodness me! Is controversial is the word when it comes to nuclear, but from yesterday's news, it looks as if nuclear is again finding favour as both fossil fuels and wind, as they say, on the days that we needed power most from wind and water is the sun didn't shine and the wind didn't blow. So there's panic in the ranks. All right, why did the bodies have to pile high? This is the eye. COVID families have 10 questions for Boris Johnson as he gives evidence at the inquiry today. Why did the bodies have to pile high, asks the eye, as it previews Boris Johnson giving evidence at the COVID inquiry today. Its front page features bereaved relatives who want to give a voice to 2,333 and 225 people killed by COVID in the UK. In a feature teased on the pages, a writer says she aged 10 years by drinking like a boomer in their 60s. Well, I'm sorry, that is your problem. I went through the same thing. I didn't booze myself to death. Daily Mail, glorious royal show of unity. As junior doctors announce the longest walkout in NHS history, the cruelest and most indefensible doctors' strike yet, it says. Glorious royal show of unity, writes the Daily Mail, as it too carries the pictures of the royals, and it's and there's the Times, and they've got the same picture, yes. Writes the Daily Mail, as it too carries the picture of the royals. Its main story calls the junior doctors' strike the cruelest and most indefensible strike yet. Junior doctors are due to strike for 3 days this month, and 6 more in January. The Financial Times, which is rapidly becoming a paper of note, but sticks religiously most times to its remit to look after business and financial news. It actually does that today, and is the car makers win 3-year reprieve on electric tariffs between Britain and the EU. It says Brussels is proposing a 3-year delay to tariffs that were due to hit electric vehicle sales between the UK and the EU. At the top of the FT's front page, pupils are pictured wearing masks in the classroom during the pandemic. The paper reports figures from OECD, which show UK children's performance in reading levels and maths sank to its lowest level for a decade. I'm not a bit surprised that they don't read anymore. They have all these electronic things which do it for them. I don't know that necessarily is the result of COVID. Made a contribution, I'm quite sure. But we really do have to look at the way that we teach reading, writing, and arithmetic to children. Unfortunately, our professor, Professor Mark Mabey, can't be with us today because it's his mother's funeral. And understandably, he must attend that and look after relatives. But he points out that he can show a slide rule to students and they haven't a clue what it is. He can show a fountain pen and they ogle it in awe, recognizing what it's for but not having seen one before. And as for a fob watch, well, that's something that is totally beyond them. So we, in many ways, yes, our standard of lion, as it were, has dropped remarkably. The Mirror investigation, Christmas cosmetic surgery fear. A Turkish company is selling cheap festive deals at events in Britain. Risky bum lifts offered, but no danger warnings despite deaths. Okay, yes, that's the Mirror. Well, that's its front page warning. Christmas cosmetic surgery fear. Apparently, if you want your bum fixed, be careful where you go. You might just find that it comes back and bites you in the ass. The Daily Star. Thin-skinned control freaks lose the plot. Manchester United bosses have a hissy fit and ban the star from Old Trafford over Ten Hag's story. You big babies, it says. Old Trafford and Manchester United manager Erik Ten Hag feature on the front page of the Daily Star as it accuses the club of being big babies. It writes the club's bosses had a hissy fit, banning the newspaper from the ground after they wrote a story about the manager. Ooh! Well, there we go on the headlines. Basically, the Rwanda story makes the headlines, and that's one that we'll have to watch for the next week. Will it or won't it? So far, every time it's taken a tilt at getting past, it's failed. And Sunak, I'll give him his due. He's not giving up. He's failed 2 or 3 times. He's gone back again, and he'll go back again, and he'll go back again. Because the polls show that one of the biggest problems that the populace and the electorate have with this government is their failure to control the illegal immigration issue. And so he's bound to want to do something about it. But I would have thought that the opposition will want to do something about it too, because if they're seen not to be taking this seriously, then we can very quickly decide that they are not for us. So Starmer had better take note. Right, let's go back to the weather again. 6 degrees we've got today. which is pretty cool. And it's starting off at 4. Right now, outside is 3, and mostly cloudy. They say it's mostly cloudy, but in fact, there's only a puff of, as a matter of fact, it's not even cloud, it's smoke rising into the air. And it's smoke from the council offices, the county council offices. I hope it's not pollutant. Oh, dear, 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 dear. I'm afraid governing bodies have a habit of not what I say, what I do. 0800, it says, is 1 degree with scattered cloud and some sunshine. But in fact, the temperature has risen to 820 to 3 degrees, according to the Met Office. And it wasn't due to hit 3 degrees until 10 o'clock. So we're warming up rather faster than we expected today. Right. Let's just remind you of what's in the papers. A number of papers speculate on how far the government will go in the new legislation aimed at sending migrants to Rwanda. The Daily Telegraph says Rishi Sunak could see up to 10 ministers resigning if he adopts a hardline approach of circumventing the European Convention on Human Rights. The paper says the immigration minister, Robert Jennick, has been pushing for the toughest version that would remove the right of judicial review and allow ministers to ignore the Human Rights Act and the European Convention as it relates to asylum. The Sun reckons Mr. Sunak is preparing to swerve what it calls Euro rules. The Daily Mail, on the other hand, says he will reject the most hardline approach. According to the Times, the Prime Minister has chosen the middle way. He will not opt out of the European Convention, but will disapply sections of the Human Rights Act to prevent legal challenge at British courts, stopping deportation flights. The paper says Mr. Sunak has privately told ministers there must be no perception that Britain is breaching its obligations under the European Convention because of concerns that it would draw comparisons with Russia and Belarus. In an editorial, the Daily Express says the government's bold plan to end what it calls the scandal of small boat crossings must not be sabotaged or more lives will be lost. The paper says its left-wing MPs and peers and lawyers connive to wreck the scheme, and the real losers will be the desperate people who set off on treacherous journeys. Well, there we go. There's a picture of Home Secretary James Cleverly, who said he did not see a reason why the policy would not work. On its front page, The Guardian highlights a warning from the United Nations Emergency Relief Coordinator, Martin Griffiths, that Israel's military campaign in southern Gaza has created apocalyptic conditions, therefore ending any possibility of meaningful humanitarian operations. He tells the paper that the way Israel's military is carrying out its operations in the south is very similar to what had happened in the north of the territory. Mr. Griffiths says U.S. efforts to persuade the Israelis to do more to protect civilians have failed, and the pace of destruction is relentless. Both the Financial Times and the Times report that UK and EU elections, EU, I jumped the gun there. EU electric car manufacturing faces a 10% tariff from the 1st of January. They have won a 3-year reprieve. Right, let's reread that. UK and EU electric car manufacturers are facing a 10% tariff from the 1st of January, who were facing a tariff have won a 3-year reprieve. The European Commission is expected to support a delay to the introduction of the levy on cars with batteries made outside of Europe. The FT says the Commission insisted on the original timetable for months, but it has now relented because of fears that increasing prices for EU-made cars in the UK would only benefit Chinese manufacturers. The Daily Mail strongly condemns the announcement that junior doctors are to stage a 3-day strike and a 6-day walkout in January. Its editorial column, it accuses the BMA's junior doctors of holding the NHS to ransom with what is described as spiteful and life-threatening strike action. And finally, a number of front pages feature a picture of the King and the Queen and the Princess and Princess of Wales, posing at a reception in Buckingham Palace for more than 500 members of the diplomatic corps. The papers say they have put on a united front in the face of accusations of racism. One for all and all for one, FOUR, is the Sun's headline. Well, they are. That's the main news. What time is it now? It's 8:25. What we will do is the Chief of Staff has brought me the Times, and here's the Times banner headline is KFC thwarts efforts to stop fast food outlets near schools, but we didn't get a summary of that. Let's see what that's all about. Obesity policies to stop takeaways being opened near schools are being thwarted by challenges brought by the fast food giant KFC. At least 41 councils in England and Wales have had their anti-obesity policies challenged by KFC since 2017. The Times has found in more than half of these cases, the company has succeeded and town halls have abandoned their plans or watered them down. Right. That's what that story's all about. The Royal Show of Unity after racism row and soon split away on Rwanda. We don't normally look at the sport, but we might just take a quick glance. Is Luton Town 3, Arsenal 4. So the minnow almost took Arsenal, the Premier League side, to the cleaners. Not quite. And Ron Snowfield's Livefield. Don't know what that's all about. It's only a little story anyway. Let's see what else is there. There's much more on Luton Town versus Arsenal on the inside. Rice spares the blushes of Raya with late winner. The Wolves won, Burnley 0, taking one risk too many, fails its company. How the goalkeeper gifted Luton 2 goals. Oh, dear. Oh, they really are having a go, aren't they? How Emery turned Villa Park into his latest fortress. Well, it's not about a match. It's just about the Villa manager. Now, I have to be careful that I don't wax lyrical about Aston Villa because it's my team. But not just through any old reason. It's way back in the 1800s. Is one of my ancestors actually bought a Devonshire in Villa Park, or at least the cabbage patch that it was playing on, so that it could be developed. My brother has season tickets always for not only him but his children as well. I've never gone that far, but I do follow them from a distance. And there was a very famous broadcaster who actually I have to say I trained, named Tony Butler in Birmingham, and he was famous throughout the Midlands. Jasper Carrott, the comedian Jasper Carrott, latched onto him, and because Tony spoke with a very, very broad black country accent. "Hey, kid, what do you think you're doing?" And he used to say, down at Villa Park, all they do is wear frilly knickers. Dear old Tony. He got me into the Sunday Times on one occasion. He was a naughty boy. But anyway, that's Emery as manager is the story in the inside pages. Oh gosh, the ladies beat Scotland 6-0. That won't go down well north of the border. And then sport is big business nowadays, and how much each television station is going to pay to try and get the rights to football. What those rights mean is that most of us can't see it on free to air. We have to pay to watch. You watch. Give it 6 or 7 years of that, and you watch the crowds start to disappear. Not immediately, but you watch. There's a rugby story about Joe Marler, who says he's not willing to give up international rugby. Oh, all sorts of interesting things. I was an idiot to tell Indian fans to shut up, says Brooke. That's the cricketer. This story about Big Hope Raducanu, the tennis player, ladies tennis player. And then we go on to that all-important story, the weather. So that's what we've got in the Times. Let me remind you again, in this wonderful pub on Sunday night, we have got a quiz. Wevo, is it?
Yep.
Wevo is going to be the host. So those people who regularly come to the quizzes here, he's very well known. And it's Sunday at 8:00, and it's in support of St. Peter's and St. James Hospice. So do think about coming along. Apart from which, I saw the beer being delivered this morning, and it looked great. So you get everything at the pub on Sunday night, and all for how much does it cost to enter?
£2 per person.
£2 a head. Very, very little nowadays. Somebody like me who's poverty-stricken, yes, but for you, just a little rattle of change in your pocket. So do come along on Sunday night to the Black Horse and test your skill at a pub quiz. I've got a wonderful pub quiz question which I offer to many people, and they actually back off. But does anybody know who the two managers were when, in the new North American Professional Soccer League, Vancouver Royals met the San Francisco Golden Gales? No? I thought not. One was Pancho Puskás, Ferenc Puskás, the Hungarian genius, and the other, wait for it, was Bobby Robson. So there you are. They found their way in various places on the way up. If anybody ever offers that, you'll have the answer at your fingertips. Raja is 8:33. What are we going to have later in the day for you? Well, we've got Stuart Dolby is coming in. First of all, he's going to interview a very intriguing character. The man was the official photographer for Glyndebourne for many, many years, and has a fantastic portfolio of photographs from that era. And Mike Hohen, and he's going to chat to Mike about his career then and now. But also, there are a couple of other things that he, of course, Stuart is an energy expert, and he's looking very carefully at what is happening on the energy field, because, to use the famous phrase, is the sun didn't shine and the rain didn't fall and the wind didn't blow, and as a consequence, all the new forms of energy provision ground to a halt. But even more controversial is that people are now beginning to talk about nuclear again in really solid terms, just at a time when a big leak in Sellafield has been reported in the news. So his energy matters is going to be very key this morning. But then on top of that, he also has got a question of the district council: is it true that they have not filed the accounts for 4 years? Because if that's so, we are living on illegal funds. And I'm looking out onto the street at the moment, and the window cleaner has turned up. And so, even though it's not raining this morning, I've got water streaming down the windows. We normally have the scintillating Dr. Mark Mabey, Professor Mark Mabey, on a Wednesday, and he gives us an update on what's happening in the education field. But it's his mother's funeral today, so he will not be with us. And John Henty, who was on a Wednesday, has now moved to a Thursday, and that's always great fun. I watched back our program last week, and it made even me giggle. So that's what's coming up later on in the day. And all in all, not a bad morning. We're coming into the end of the year now. It is the 6th of December, 2023. So what we've got is about 24 days left. And 2 of those days will be Christmas Day and Boxing Day. And that's another controversial issue, is on Boxing Day, normally we would have the hunt, very colourful spectacle, very controversial. The hunt would normally go down, they meet outside the White Hart, and then they take off down the High Street and up onto the Downs for some, I think it's called drag hunting. They drag a sack with scent on it to let the hounds go after it. But no, the district council, as they are green and they want to watch their green credentials, have controversially decided not to grant them the right to ride down Lewis High Street, but to give instead the license to somebody with a barrow race or something of the sort. And I'm quite sure that what they've done is that they've actually created a Tinder. It will not mean much to turn it into confrontation, because wherever else Sussex is, East Sussex is, it is rural. In the main, it is rural. Apart from Brighton, it does not have a big major city. And as a consequence, we've got a lot of country people who actually support the colourful fox hunt. Yes, you can say, Keith, why are you promoting this fox hunt? I'm not promoting the fox hunt. I'm quite ambivalent about it. I'm telling you the facts as they are. And so I worry about what's going to happen on Boxing Day. I'll tell you one thing: if I can get my damn scooter fixed, I'm going to go down to the high street to see, because I think that is, as usual, with one trick parties, which the Greens are. Let's face it, that's not a criticism. That is exactly what they are: a one-trick party. Anything to do with Green, woof. Anything else they ignore. And I think that they ignored the consequences of doing away with the hunt and putting up a barrow race or whatever the hell it is instead. Yeah, that's quite a lot for me, isn't it? And not at all ranting, just explaining things as they are. It's 8:39, and it's a lovely day out. It is cool. It's gone back to 1 degree now, and it's supposed to be climbing, but it's not. There's no cloud cover at all, even though the official forecast says it's cloudy. It's not, but it's not raining either. It's a frosty morning. There's a frost on the top of the cars, and if you're going to go out there, enjoy it. It's one of those autumn mornings, really, the sort that we used to be able to go and kick our feet through leaves and be told off when we got home for spoiling our shoes, and feeling the tingle on our nose and kicking the conkers on the ground. Rarely we get that anymore. But no, today is one of those days. I think that the conkers are probably all fallen, but there's still a few leaves around on the ground, so you can scuff your shoes if you want. So 1 degree, no rain today, no rain at all, and not a great deal of wind either, although a light wind, it says. But so far, I mean, I'm looking out at the trees, and I can't see any shake of the branches whatsoever. So I don't think there's much wind out there, and certainly the clouds aren't scudding across the sky. So that's the situation out there. Shall we just take a quick look at quite arbitrary? Let's open to an inside page and see what we get. A British composer is killed in a plane crash because he lacked training. He crashed his plane. He was the pilot on a Swiss mountain, killing his wife and 6-month-old daughter. Lacked the training and experience to traverse the Alps, an inquest has found. Now, I know just a little bit. It's many, many years since I've actually flown an airplane, but at one time I was flying every day, a Cessna, and I was flying in mountainous terrain. In fact, on bad days, we would fly over to the mountains and deliberately go into the clouds to see how badly the plane shook and didn't fall apart. And the plane itself, if we would go up over the crest of a mountain, the peak of a mountain, is you would go over the rim and then suddenly it would drop. Woof! Because the updraft and downdraft created by the rocks was such that the air level had great pockets in it. And at one time, when I first started to fly, it scared the hell out of me. And then I started to get used to it until in the end, I would decide, let's go and let's have a little rocking, shall we? Let's see how it rocks. So I can understand how he might have a problem with flying in Swiss mountains and not being properly trained for it. I mean, I'm not making light of the story, but I do tend to understand what the problems are. What else is going to happen in this coming month? Well, first of all, we invite you on Monday, the 18th of December, to Mirador, because for the entire morning, we are going to bring in as many as our correspondents from around the world and guests as we possibly can. And it's so that we can all say thank you to you for joining us, and thank you for helping to make this year a success on Mirador, which it has been. And it's that we can make a little whoop-de-doo before we break for the Christmas season. We are going to make Monday the 18th our last day of broadcast before Christmas. We shall enjoy the Christmas fun, take the week off, Christmas week, and come back on the 8th of January with our new lineup. Some of it is new and some of it is not, but we've got some exciting programs coming for you. One, I hope, is going to be on artificial intelligence, and that will be a fascinating topic to find out what on earth it's all about, what it can do and what it can't do. And also, we have got the second largest opera company in New York with the principal and a board director to bring you up to date with the opera world and what's going on in New York. And you say, well, why do you do New York when you've got Glyndebourne around the corner? Well, today's guest, Stuart Dolby, is a former photographer there, and we wanted to do a little vignette on him and asked if we could walk with him in his old stomping grounds, and they turned us down. So if they're that sniffy, and it's not us, it's you that they're sniffy about. They don't want to tell you about things. That's up to them. But we are going to a really electrifying and very, very important opera company in the world where they do unique things like put the singers in glass boxes over the stage. Wow! We probably will have a few other new people and welcome with the return of some of the old, such as Keith Norman, who reports from the Bothy, the gardener, and also Alex Hoare will be back with Joey, his dog. Actually, Joey runs the program. Alex just hangs on. Alex has got a very interesting program going. He has purchased a derelict nursery, a garden centre, and is very patiently and stoically putting it back together. And he's going to keep us up to date on that. So all that's starting in January, on January the 8th. You've got plenty to keep you happy and interesting. And we will be going further. And we hope that in the new year, we will be able to return to Roku, Amazon, Apple, and Google, all those television channels that you can get in your backyard. If you've got smart TVs, and most people have now, or if you've got a smartphone, which most people have now. So that means, and according to the people that operate this system, we will, instead of having and we've been very lucky, we really begin to climb now to about 15,000 to 20,000 people. We will have instead 174 million available to us. Can you imagine 174 million people looking at Lewis every day? No, it ain't going to happen. But far more people will follow Lewis, and our overseas viewership is immense. There isn't a country that we haven't got some viewers in, and they let us know. They talk to us. They email us and say, "Hey, Keith, we saw so and so this morning, or we saw such and such." So we've got plenty to keep you intrigued. What's happening this morning? Back to today. Well, in 3/4 of an hour, we shall take our usual break in about 5 minutes after I finish yammering on. We have Stuart Dolby, who has got a triple bill this morning. He's got Energy Matters. He's got photographer Mike Hoban to interview, and he's got some word on asking the council why, at least the records show, that they have not filed tax returns for the last 4 years. Maybe they'll come back and say, no, we just forgot to put it up on our website. So we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. The other thing is, I can't wait to get my scooter back. Those of you who, as I say publicly, say hello to the man in the blue hat as he zips through Lewis. Well, I haven't been zipping through Lewis. I've been stuck here with the Chief of Staff, Declan, who keeps on bringing me coffee. Oh, I must show you his mug. There, Rhino. And there's a real story behind this because he was a pal, actually had a company. It was a company called Rhino, Declan.
Yeah.
Yes.
So highway maintenance company.
Rhino, the highway maintenance company, and he knew Declan extremely well. Gave him a mug for his coffee, but also gave him a whole hatful of pens and all sorts of other bits and pieces with Rhino on it. So although we will stay with January being the helmet down in the Priory, the medieval knight's helmet, we will from time to time remind you that the Chief of Staff is called Rhino. So there we are. And very good coffee it is too. Not that I'm encouraging you to drink coffee in a pub. The beer is much better, but there we are. And I will confess, many people who have Parkinson's try to hide it. I've never quite understood that. I'm quite open about it. And this morning I was actually getting ready, getting the studio ready, the pub studio, and I took a chair down, and damn me, didn't it topple me over? And there I lay, helpless for a few minutes, until I managed to get myself on my knees and then got up. And then guess what? The Chief of Staff decides to turn up for work. A good 15 minutes after me. Just when he was needed, he wasn't here. Oh, boo, boo, boo. There you go, you see. We've got a marvelous crew here. We really have a marvelous crew. It was great fun going into the White Hart. They were very nice people, but it didn't bear any resemblance to coming here. You got Monday and Friday mornings. We got Ada, who just she doesn't wait. She just comes up and she asks the two bees who are on Monday morning and Friday morning is questions. This council worker said this to me. Am I going to go to prison? And they're able to assure her not only that she's not, but that we'll hound down that council official because he shouldn't be doing things like that. So we got Ada, we got Michael, who suddenly appears and does all sorts of things around here, followed by Declan, our Chief of Staff, who keeps this place immaculately running. He really does. And the other day, I had finished broadcasting and I was sitting here and the doors opened and in came at least 20 to 30 people. And he wasn't expecting them. They didn't say that they were coming, but they came for a drink, I guess, Christmas drink. And he was thrown into chaos, and he handled the chaos extremely well. And by 12:15, the pub was running very efficiently. Everybody had got their drink, and everybody was singing the praises of the Black Horse. So there you are. All those things happen in a pub in the morning. And apart from which he dusts us around the corners, he corrects my mistakes, he lights the fire. No, it hasn't lit the fire yet. It's a bit early for the fire. Is it a light?
Yeah.
Oh, it is. I didn't turn around enough. I was afraid of cricking my neck. Anyway, that's the world in the Black Horse. It's now 8:53. We will be back at 9 o'clock or thereabouts. I will read you very quickly the headlines again, and it's on its front page, The Guardian highlights a warning from the United Nations Emergency Relief Coordinator that Israel's military campaign in southern Gaza has created apocalyptic conditions. The Financial Times and the Times report that UK and EU electric car manufacturers have won a 3-year reprieve from having a tariff imposed by the European Union. The Princess of Wales and the Prince of Wales and the King and the Queen are pictured at a diplomatic do at Buckingham Palace, but also standing together in showing what should you say, unity in the face of Meghan and Harry's onslaught at them. The Daily Mail strongly condemns the announcement that junior doctors has a stage of 3-day strike, both this month and a 6-day strike in January. And it says spiteful and life-threatening strike action. And finally, a number of front pages feature a picture of the King and the Queen and the Prince and the Princess of Wales posing at a reception in Buckingham Palace, which I just said, for more than 500 members of the diplomatic corps. The papers say they have put on a united front in the face of accusations of racism. One for all, F-O-U-R, one for all for one is the Sun's headline. And the star, you can never do without the star. As usual, is it goes off-piste and it picks up something else. And this time, it criticised the manager of Manchester United, Ten Hag, and has been banned from the ground as a result. Oh, you can't do that to the star, they say. You can't do that to the star. Well, they've done it. But I tell you, they take their life in their hands, and Manchester United do seem to be in a bit of a mess at the moment. They take their life in their hands. Ooh, dear, dear, dear. Yes, indeed. You take on a newspaper, a national newspaper. You take on us, and we can make a dent in you. But the Star, by golly, it'll get everybody riled up. The pro Manchester United people who will be fanatical, and everybody else who hates them, who can be equally as fanatical. Okay, well, that's the melange at 8:56 this morning on the 6th day of the 12th month of 2023. And it's will they or won't they? Will they be able to send migrants, illegal migrants to Rwanda or not? Well, we don't know. It will transpire this week. Watch this space, or at least watch some space. I'll be back in 5 minutes or so. Till then, till live. From Lewis in the Black Horse Pub.